All right, what's up, everyone? Hello, Jen.
Hello.
Here we are for another edition of the Hello Hair Pro podcast. Just felt like saying that.
I like it.
All right, so today I want to talk about what everybody is freaking out about online, which is all the tariffs and the sky is falling and blah, blah, blah. But before we get to that, we'll start with a quick opening take. So I think I might have used this one before, but it's in my notes and I don't remember using it. Did you want to go? Because you're smiling.
Nope.
No, you forgot again. So my opening take sort of goes with, I guess, the topic for this week, which is there aren't any slow times of the year. There are just times that you haven't really prepared your business. And I think that holds up. There were a whole bunch of people that were like, it's dead after the holidays. And then we had our best January ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are people that are like, it's just dead in the summer. And then last year we had our best July, August ever. So it's just, it when you have a business and no matter what field, like, so I don't know, do sunscreen companies cry about winter? Or do they figure it out? You know what I mean? Like, come on, you got to figure stuff out. And maybe you need some marketing. Maybe you need some restructure or rethink the way that you need to rethink the way that you're doing business and operating, rather than just sitting around waiting for quote unquote slow times and then complaining about them. Why don't you, since every year, it's like when people say, the holidays are so crazy busy. Why? They're on the calendar. Like you knew they were coming. And I hate to be negative. I hate to always sound negative, but it's really confusing to me when people are like, oh, it's just a slow time. I don't know what I'm going to do to survive. I mean, I guess going on Facebook and complaining about it is a tactic, but it's probably not going to work out for you. So I would recommend getting to work on something. What do you got? Any opening take?
I'm trying to think of one. I'm going to go with, if you live in New England, the last couple of weeks have been awful with the weather. So I think what happens over time, we all get ready for spring, at least here in New England. We're all ready for warmer weather, some sun, maybe get outside a little bit. You get a tease, and then before you know it, like this week, we had 2 days of snow. Nothing that amounted to much, but still, it's snow, and it kind of puts you back, and you're like, are you serious right now? And I think with anything, with business, with life, it's often we get kicked down, and then before you know it, you look out the window, and it's snowing, so you feel like you got kicked down twice. I like to use the phrase dig deep. And right now, I think spring in New England, you got to dig deep. You got to find things that get you motivated. You got to find things that keep you inspired. For me, it's working out in the morning and moving my body so that I at least get some energy going where my energy feels low around this time. If you're not moving your body, move it more. If you live in New England, yes, it sucks right now, but get over it because it's going to get better, and find different ways to create energy right now where right now the weather's not helping. So move your body, find ways to create energy, and just be happy. Smile.
Yeah, I can't wait personally. Like, I love spring, early summer here in New England, and then fall to get outside and just take a walk. And for some odd reason, I thought that was going to start soon. I went outside the other day, turned immediately around, and came back in. It was so freaking windy and cold.
Yeah, I still am wearing a hat to the bus stop with the kids.
I jumped on the bike and I grabbed some dumbbells and did a little brief workout. And yeah, you got to move your body and feel good, and maybe, I don't know, talk to your doctor or whatever, but maybe supplement with some vitamin D or whatever you got going on.
Yeah, right now you got to pull energy from somewhere, some good energy. It's really important to just deal with day-to-day stuff and deal with it well.
Yeah, I started putting together some ideas, and maybe we'll talk about it on the show, actually. But our staff recently found out that I was somebody that did nutrition for people before doing hair. And so I had a gym for 10 years, and even before that, I was always sort of into nutrition. And then I went to school to become a personal trainer and learn about nutrition even more. And so it's really not all that complicated, but there are some things that you got to do. And I don't know, from what I've seen in the hair industry, people don't really take care of themselves that well.
Yeah.
starting
I
with
currently
nutrition.
have one staff member, her homework every week is just to pack food. She fails often, but I remind her happily that she needs to pack food and adult a little bit better.
Yeah.
And that cheese at
It's
the
hard
microwave
too
popcorn
because
are not a food group.
it's hard too because a lot of the people that are coming out of school they're young, they're kids.
Yeah.
So they are in their invincibility phase of their life. You know, when you're in your 20s all the way through, I don't know, for guys, it's probably all the way up. And I probably still feel this way on some days, but you just feel invincible.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, my choices don't matter. Your choices do matter and they compound over time. So that's the scary part, because one day you're going to wake up and be like, I don't have any energy, but it's not because of that one day. It's because of the 10 years leading up to that.
Right.
Anyway, let's jump into this topic. I keep seeing it in my feed everywhere, and people are like, the sky is falling, the tariffs, our country's doomed, blah, blah, blah. Look, tariffs aren't new. Tariffs are a tax. Actually, before we even start, I just want to point out I'm not an economist.
Oh, you don't
Jen
say.
is not an economist. Nobody in any group that you're in is an economist. Nobody that does a different podcast episode or writes a blog about this, because I'm guessing this is going to be a hot topic for people that want to tell you how to deal with tariffs. There's nothing you can do as far as the tariffs. There are what you can do in your business, and we can chat about that, but you're not changing the tariffs. They are what they are, and that's for the administration to decide. We don't get to decide that. What you do get to decide is what happens within your business, within those walls. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where we should be focusing, not on, oh my God, how are we going to survive this? Same way you survived. People are so easy to forget. Did you guys have fun during lockdown? Was that a good time for your business? No, it wasn't. But you survived. Why? Well, you got resourceful. You figured out ways to bring value to people. You figured out ways to provide services or products to people within whatever rules or regulations were in your areas. That's what you did. Mm-hmm. So why would this be any different? It isn't. So I wouldn't fall into just the fear of what circulates on social media. And if you can't handle it, stay away from the news too, because the news is always going to be negative no matter what.
Yeah, put on
because
Bluey.
Negativity. What's that?
Put on Bluey.
Yeah, put on some Bluey. Thanks, Australia, for that.
It's a great show.
Thanks, Australia, for Bluey.
Just makes everything
the one
better.
thing you've given us. It's the one thing you've provided the world is Bluey. All right, so let's see. I have some notes.
Okay, I have something to add too, because I actually had a client ask about this the other day.
Go ahead.
So I had, interestingly, I would say I wasn't sure with this episode if I would have much value to add to this, but maybe I do. So I had a client the other day ask something about, with the products that we carry and the products we use to do business, do we think will be impacted by the tariffs? And I was like, I would imagine. I think everything's going to be impacted. And she's like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, and this was just like random, just cutting her hair.
What are you going to do?
But so I think this might help
with
people.
That voice.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Is that how they talk? Or is that
I have no idea. No, she doesn't talk like that.
Is that you making fun of somebody? Okay.
No. But easily, so we've set our business up really kind of back to what you said with COVID on certain ways to be resourceful and get through anything that's thrown our way. So one of the things we did coming out of that, or just way to operate the business in a more profitable avenue, is we have online sales for all of our retail products. So I had said to the client, I'm like, we already have a store through our website for all retail. So if those products go up so much that it doesn't make sense for us to carry it on a shelf, then everything goes through our online business. And then you decide as a customer if you want to still buy retail and you want to give us credit through being a small business. And if you don't and you find it somewhere else, then we're out of the retail business and I'm still doing hair. Like, there's just certain things that we're already set up for. So with that store, it gives us a solution to if something moves up too much and we have to cut somewhere, well, that would be the first place. I'm not a retail business. We do hair. So the supplies we need to do hair are going to be non-negotiable, right? And if those go up so much, then our prices are going to have to go up. And that's just where that goes. But there are certain things that we can cut out of the business, still offer to the clients through our website that would allow us to still, operate with some retail products if we choose to, but not have to deal with the high impact of certain costs that may go up with those. And if you don't currently sell retail through your website and have companies that you can align with, then maybe that's something you start to look at, so you're not sitting on thousands of dollars on a retail shelf that aren't moving fast enough. And maybe before this is even impacting you, that could just be impacting your business right there. Anything that's not moving and moving and moving in your business and is sitting on shelves is not doing you any good at all.
Yeah, I agree with all of that.
Thanks.
There's just, the biggest thing I want people to take away is just to like chill out and relax. And people want to always go to the sky is falling. And I know I keep saying that. It's a funny saying, but so the stock market, people are like, the stock market's crashed. We're all like, the world's going to burn. It's the same as it was a year ago. Were you complaining then? Probably you didn't even pay attention to it. So unless you are investing in the stock market, I wouldn't even really worry about it.
Well, I always say, unless you're even pulling your money out. If you're not pulling it out, then it's a long game.
Right. So yes, it's a long game, and it's never not gone back and forth, up and down. The same with consumer goods. Like, so you have these tariffs, and people are like, where are we going to get color that's not going to be taxed? Well, everything's taxed. So you're going to pay a tax on it.
You're going to have to decide if you have to raise your prices or what you have to do with that. Like, that's just going to be the conversation you as a business owner have with yourself.
Exactly. And I was going to get into that next, actually, what you can do to like sort of mentally prepare yourself and prepare your business and stuff. But all your stuff, like, anything that's made overseas is going to have a tariff on it. It already has a tariff on it. And all that is a word that means tax that people just learned. So the prices of your goods, is what I was saying, is always going to fluctuate. Things are always going to go up. Things are always going to go down. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they do. It is what it is. So the first thing to hopefully relax you is to realize, if you take a macro view of this and look at the last 5 years, if you're going to look at the tax or the stock market or whatever, and you'll see that it goes up and down. Mm-hmm. Look at your prices for things. Yes, those go up because of costs of goods go up, which is why you have to adjust your prices to deal with inflation, like you were saying. Mm-hmm. There's a few things that I would recommend that people do or look into. Again, I'm not a professional. I've just been in business for however many years. What do we have? Like 2 decades and times 2, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like 4 decades of running and operating businesses, probably even more than that. I'm not even counting when you did all your like working for yourself, chair renting, mm-hmm. or when I ran or managed different businesses and stuff. So what are some of the things that you can do? You talked about raising prices. Definitely do that. Definitely don't announce that on social media. I guess you do you, but your clients do not want a civics lesson. I mean, economics lesson. They don't want that.
And you don't need to apologize.
No, stop apologizing. There's nothing to be sorry for.
If you're running a business, this is how it goes. It may be uncomfortable for you, but you need to put your big girl pants on or your big boy pants on. And here's where you're at for today.
Yeah, nobody feels bad that they're charging you more. So you shouldn't feel bad. And everything goes down to the end user. And so when you buy color from the store, from your supplier, or wherever you go to get your color, you're their end user. You're their end customer. Your customer is not their customer. Now, I understand that distributors want to have you be successful so that you buy more product to sell to your clients, which is the same reason why big brands want distributors to be successful. Yes. So it all trickles down. Mm-hmm. It's not, so nothing has changed, and the costs always get passed off to the consumer. Mm-hmm. That's just how business goes. If you don't like it, don't be in business.
Yeah. I think the other thing when you're talking about distributors, right? So if you're concerned with this, every distributor has at least 3 to 4 major sales a year. So what you could do right now,
you are killing me.
Why?
Because you're taking my points right before I'm about to say them.
Oh man.
Go ahead.
So the other thing you can do is start to save your money and spend your money, more consciously, or save it in a better way so that you can take advantage of these sales, which would save you money in the long run. And then the more you buy, the more you save. Even distributors who don't have sales, all year on the distributor we work with, whenever you're going to buy more in stock and they don't have to break down cases, you're always going to save. So right now, what you might need to be doing is meeting with your distributors or meeting with the people you buy all your products from to see what kind of advantages do they offer if you buy in bulk. And then start strategically figuring out how much you need to save to buy in bulk to start saving money long term. Rather than every week, if you're just placing these small orders, you're going to get hit in a different way. Where if you start using your money more wisely, it's going to help you save in the long run.
Yeah. So I was going to say, my point was going to be smart with your inventory.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier to not have like this major retail front if that's not what you're into.
Right.
But a lot of people have 12, 20, I've seen even more different brands sitting on shelves because they think that's going to help. So if I bring in this,
Right.
when really streamlining and working with 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever handful of lines to fill holes or whatever that you're doing in those with that is going to help your business in the long run.
Absolutely.
Because you're not going to have all that money tied up. What about diversifying your distributors? What about reaching out to someone else, finding out about better deals? Maybe there's someone out there that's a smaller distributor that's able to give a little more wiggle room on stuff. I don't know. That's for you to find out. I know what we do for our business and what works for us. We talked about raising prices. Yeah, I just everything has gone up. So I've seen this sort of argument against raising prices where people say, everything's gone up, so it's not fair on you to raise your prices on your clients. I don't know what you're talking about when you say that.
You're not running a business.
You are setting yourself, your staff, if you have them, and your clients up for failure.
Absolutely.
Because what happens if I love getting my hair cut and colored by somebody, and I don't get my hair colored, but just an example, I'm somebody that gets their hair cut and colored, and I love it, and I keep going to you, and I think I'm being supportive, but you're not charging properly because you don't want to raise the price on me, which I've never expressed an argument against, but you're just projecting. And then you are like, hey, I can't do hair anymore. This business just isn't worth it. And you close up shop.
Right.
Now I'm out. Now I'm hurt because I don't get to go get my hair cut and colored. So you have to understand that you've got to pick too, because when we went through COVID, people were like, hair's essential. And now people are saying hair's a luxury. Or last year, hair was a luxury. This year, hair is a luxury, but it needs to be affordable for everyone.
Right.
I think this industry is just confused, or they're drinking too much, because somebody's got to you have to pick something and stand by it. Going back and forth with whatever the climate is just, that's not it. It's not the way to do it. And it's not the way that any other industries really run.
I would agree. I would say here, a big one, if you don't understand what it costs you to run your business, this right now is the exact time to quickly figure that out. When you do a color service, what does it cost you to do that? For product, for electricity, for everything you need to understand your costs. Then you can decide what you're charging, and you might be surprised with what you're charging and what you're paying out that the number that you're profitable by is way lower than you expected because you didn't actually understand what the service cost you. So this is extremely important coming into this next chapter of whatever's going to happen. If you don't understand what you need to make to run a business and you don't know what it costs you to run a business, then you're just literally going to be like throwing things at the wind and trying everything that you can or everything you see on social media. Like, oh, I'm going to try that. It's too spastic. It's not going to work. You're going to fall on your face. Where right now, if you're like a control freak, you're like, I don't understand all this happening. Like, how am I going to get ahead of this? Well, what you can control is this kind of stuff. Figure out what it costs you to do business, what it costs you per service, figure out what you need to make, and then you can strategically look at if it needs to be small jumps or big jumps of what you can do in your business to make sure you stay ahead of it and that the profitability, the percent you need to make doesn't change as things change. Who knows? It could be weekly, monthly, however that comes our way.
What about focusing on things that can't be taxed?
Yeah. Didn't even
What about
think
your
about that.
hospitality?
True.
What about
Yes.
the service that you provide? What about your consultation?
Yeah.
Everyone's big on
Step it up,
consultation, right?
right?
We have
Step
so
it up.
many clients that are like, I've never got a consultation. I just realized that I've never had a consultation at any other salon.
I love them. Like, no one's ever asked me that. I'm like, what are they asking you? They're like, nothing. I'm like,
Wow.
oh, okay.
Yeah. What about your vibe? What about your cleanliness? What about your
Your appearance, even like the whole
atmosphere?
thing you
Whatever.
bring.
Yes. Because what you'll find is that you'll find a clientele that would say, I would pay anything to stay with Jen. That was random, and I just used your name. I
Sure,
would
someone
pay
said it.
anything. Yeah. Whatever, Jen. But people will say like, I'm going to stick with this person wherever. I would go wherever this person went. Again, it's all about taking care of your clients and offering them a service, providing hospitality. Those are the things that can separate your business in a major way to where people aren't going to balk at a price increase.
Right.
In some cases, it's hilarious that people will celebrate a price increase because they actually support you. But you're so worried about everything else that you can't control. Like, again, now you can't control if somebody's like, oh, well, I can't afford that. If I raise my prices from $100 to $135, whatever. Oh, that's a little much for me. Okay. That's fine. You don't have to be for everybody.
Right.
You have to stay in business if you want to help.
You can't be for everybody.
I learned that when I had my gym. One of my first business mentors, was like, how is your community? And I was like, they're amazing. And I started talking all about how the amazing people were. And he said, how do they like coming to you? And I said, oh, they love it. They tell me all the time, we do this, we do that, blah, blah, blah. And we went through and he said, now imagine if you just weren't there and you weren't able to provide that for them. And I was like, oh, damn. And he was like, and that's why you're supposed to stay in business. That's why you have to do the quote unquote business side. There's no business side. It's business, period.
Yeah.
It's customer service, it's a service industry. It's a service business. There is no quote unquote business side. All right. So I think people just have to, let's wrap this up, but I think people just have to focus on their mindset. What you look for is what you're going to find. If you are constantly complaining about tariffs and the administration and the president's the worst, and then that's what you're going to find. You're going to find that on social media because it's how the algorithms work. And you're going to be sucked into this downward spiral of just
negativity,
mediocrity, and complaining.
Yeah.
I would say this is a good chance to focus your mental bandwidth on systems in your salon. How can you step things up how can you grow your staff? How can you train them to get through this stuff? Because at least for us, they're younger and they're probably heavily influenced by what they hear as well.
Right.
So you have to coach them and I'm not a big fan of don't talk about certain things in the salon. I'll talk about whatever I want. First of all, it's mine. Second of all, clients are welcome to talk about whatever they want too. Within reason, obviously, we're not going to have any crazy conversations, but anything that makes me an accomplice, I don't want to talk about stuff like that. But other than that, talk about what you like, have conversations with people. That's how we get through stuff. You have different opinions from different people. Having those conversations is what makes our country great. It's what helps us find new ways and blaze new trails. Right?
Yeah.
If you all of a sudden are like, no talking about that, like you're not allowed to talk about that because I don't like it. Well, you're just like, you're closing off half of your business, first of all, because some people are going to like the administration, some aren't. Some are going to be in favor of tariffs or taxes, some aren't. Like, that's just the way it goes.
Be careful of the rabbit hole. Don't get dragged down to something you don't even know what you're talking about and make shit up. Don't do that.
Yeah, definitely don't do that.
And steer that conversation. If it isn't for you, then you're just like, hey, we're not talking about that today. But yeah, at that one, I just say the rabbit hole, be very careful.
So yeah, and stay away from all the buzzwords and stuff. Like, everyone just learned the word tariff a couple months ago. So now everybody's like, what about the tariffs? What about the tariffs? You remember the supply chain? That was during COVID. Everyone learned that term and everyone was like, the supply chain's broken. Oh, the supply chain. Look, everyone's the cream is always going to rise to the top. This is a challenge for businesses. And if you shouldn't be in business, sorry if that sounds harsh, then this might be the straw on the camel's back, but it won't be because of the tariffs. It'll be because you didn't do all the other things to prepare.
I would say too, if you have a great accountant and you're really freaking out, like that is a great person to go to really understand. They should be able to help you wrap your mind around certain things in your business that may or may not be
Oh yeah,
affected, but make sure you're having an open line of communication. So when things start to change, like they'll know and they'll be able to guide you. And that's a stronger resource for you than anything you're going to find on social media.
agreed. That's all I have to say. I don't know if you have anything else.
No,
I
I
just
think
wanted to
that
touch
I just
base
wanted to
on
mention
that.
the
I
accountant
don't.
thing because that's where you can really get some good information, or you should be able to.
Yeah, yeah. Always rely on the team that you've built around you. You cannot be as successful alone as you can be with the team. Period. There's no example you can think of in the world where even individual sports, people have coaches. Those coaches have coaches. You have mentors. You have sports psychologists. You have all these things. I read Tiger Woods' sports psychologist book. I forget exactly what it's called. I think his name was Dr. Rotella, Rob Rotella, maybe something like that. But you can find it if you search it up. I also read Michael Jordan's, one of his coaches' books, like sports coach, or not sports coach, like a strength and conditioning coach. Excellent book. Like, just go out there and get some material and check stuff out. But again, don't get sucked into the social media world and don't get sucked into the sensationalism. Blah. I just messed that word up. Sensationalism of the news. All that stuff is designed to suck you in and keep you there.
Yeah.
And negative is better than positive. So you're always going to get sucked into the negative more. So, anyways, jump on our email list and we will talk to you soon. Anything else, Jen?
No, take a walk and go watch Bluey. That's what I got.
Yeah. Thanks, Australia. All Australia has given us is Bluey and then like deadly animals.
Sweet. Bluey's so good. If you haven't watched it, please.
I'm sure there's other stuff. What did Australia? All right, we should talk about Australia next episode.
Okay, sure. We'll talk about Australia. Whole episode on it.
They brought us that song, I Come From a Land Down Under.
Yep. And some
They brought us Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a good movie.
They got
AC/DC.
kangaroos.
Yeah, a kangaroo will kick you open.
I've been with kangaroos. They never kicked me open. They're really cool. I got
They're
to
cool
feed them
now.
out of my hand. Like, they were great.
If they're threatened, I bet they would kill you in 2 seconds.
Clearly, they were not threatened by me.
I saw a video of one fighting a dog. See, this is why you shouldn't go on social media, but the guy had to go. Like, kangaroo was beating the shit out of this guy's dog.
Well, those were not the kangaroos I hung with when I was in Australia. I hung with nice
Yours were on drugs.
they were just
sedated.
nice.
All right.
They just liked me.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye. Have a great day.
Sure.